How credible is Italy's stance on Libya? You say we are in a position to discuss the future of Libya. Does anybody take Italy seriously, do you think, when your relationship and Silvio Berlusconi's relationship with Mr. Gheddafi has been so close for so long?
Well, exactly because we were the only country after a colonialistic heritage that accepted to close the past and to sign a treaty of friendship. But we signed it with the state, not with the government, whereas the regime has shown determination to kill its own people. We turned the back immediately.
Well, it wasn't with a state just, was it? It was with Mr. Gheddafi in person, which is why I imagine Mr. Berlusconi said just last month, I'm saddened for Gheddafi and I am sorry. What's happening in Libya hits me personally. That's personal.
Well, we cannot make a confusion between a sentiment of human pietas and the political decision. Our political decision was to recognize the opposition in Gheddafi, what has not done from many other states.
I'm a little confused. I'm just looking at the words. Berlusconi, back in August 2010, 7.5 months ago from today, hailed Colonel Gheddafi as my friend, the great leader of the Jamhuriya, using the specific term for Libya that Gheddafi himself uses. I mean, that is a very personal identification between Berlusconi and Gheddafi.
Well, because this was the past, but the present and the future are completely different, and we are credible exactly because we were able to change rapidly the situation and the approach.
Well, you didn't change rapidly, did you? On the 17th of January, you directly compared Gheddafi with Ben Ali because the riots had already started in Tunisia, and you said Gheddafi is different. He has people's councils. He listens to his people every week. You say there are positive signs about Gheddafi in Libya.
And then we have seen the reality, and the reality is completely different.
But where were you looking for all of the years previous when we heard all of the reports about abuse, about torture, about killings in Libya, which you knew and you read for many, many years?
Yes, exactly. It was exactly the moment where United Kingdom sent back one of the killers of Lockerbie, free to move to Libya, applauded in Libya, exactly the same time.
There are very serious questions for the UK government, for Tony Blair and many others.
I know.
I'm putting very serious questions to you.
I know. These were different times for Italy, for UK, from France, all the countries in the region. Do you want to compare the situation of France in Tunisia? The same, practically the same. We opened the eyes. We have to recognize.
So it's time to say, sorry, we made a terrible fundamental mistake.
We made a mistake because we maybe preferred a partnership of convenience rather a partnership, a real partnership based on equality of rights.
What do you think the lessons are? Because this isn't necessarily just about Libya.
The lesson is that we cannot prefer stability at expenses of democracy and civil rights.
Does that apply in Syria? Does that apply in Bahrain, in Saudi Arabia?
That's why we have to be very vigilant in Bahrain, in Syria, in all the countries in the region. We have to recognize
well, it's
that...
not, with respect, Minister, it's not a question of being vigilant, is it? It's a question of whether the West, Italy, many other countries too, is prepared to fundamentally change. Have you changed?
We did. We did.
How? How has that manifested itself in the last few weeks?
Well, for example, I talked about a Marshall Plan to help economic development of all the states that are in transitional phase. We will be putting in the Marshall Plan conditionalities. So if you want to achieve economic aid from Europe, we have to accept some conditionalities related to human rights, civil liberties, and so on and so on. We are doing so in practice in Tunisia. We are helping the Tunisian government through the Venice Commission to reform the electoral law. This is concrete aid.
You, of course, are the foreign minister who just, again, a couple of months ago, warned that if there was fragmentation and breakup in Libya, you could imagine an Islamic emirate in the east of the country.
We are in very close touch with the opposition and with the council that we recognize in Benghazi. They acknowledged exactly when I said these things, there were an attempt from Islamic radical groups to infiltrate. They were able to expel these radical groups.
You're entirely confident about that, are you? We don't even know who half the people on this transitional council are because their names are still secret.
Quite confident.
Well, you don't even know who all the people are on this council.
I know them better than you.
But you don't know who half of them are because they haven't been named.
I know.
So how can you know that the threat that you saw of an Islamic emirate in parts of Libya has gone away?
Because we have people working in Benghazi daily, having daily contacts, working with them and knowing them very, very good, very well.
As I understand it, the Americans are worried about what they've called flickers of Al-Qaeda and Hezbollah activity. Robert Gates, the defense secretary, has said that, as far as he can see, the rebels are disparate and disorganized. You seem to know a lot more than he does.
We have to help them to be better organized. This is absolutely true.
How are you going to do that?
Including by sending trainers. They have been asking us for sending Italian trainers.
Military people?
Military.
When are you sending them?
We are thinking about.
But when? When are you sending them?
It's not yet decided. But we are helping them in terms of good advices.
But you have decided you're going to send military advisors?
Not yet.
But you just said you had.
We have people on the ground. We can organize a working group together with the opposition in Benghazi.
Are the Americans happy that you're sending military advisors?
Since I said we not yet decided, I don't know whether the Americans are happy. When we'll be doing so, we will be doing in coordination with American friends.
See, the head of the Transitional Council, at least one of their main leaders, Mustafa Abdul Jalil, he was in Rome recently. He said that...
Yes, correct.
He said that one of the main topics was about guaranteeing the contracts that your big oil company, ENI, has and exploring the possibility of doing new deals.
Well, I think the new Libya will be respecting the agreements, the international agreements, the contracts, and so on and so on.
Is that why you flipped from being quite cautious about saying Gheddafi should go in the early days of this crisis to now full-on recognition for the rebels? Is that what this is about?
In the early days of the crisis, we had a small problem you are not talking about. We had 1,600 Italians working in Tripoli. We had to evacuate first.